What are your thoughts on Rosalind Franklin?
Who's that? Don't really know her.
I have no clue who Rosalind Franklin is.
No idea.
Do you know what topic she relates to?
History. It's for Mr. Coffin's class.
Like the names.
Wasn't there like a show like Franklin the Turtle or something?
Got it.
No.
Oh, she's the girl that like was in the back of the bus and then like got like arrested. It's like Martin Luther King, like.
That's Rosa Parks.
Although she wasn't properly acknowledged for her groundbreaking discovery, Rosalind Franklin defied the expectation of women in her time by exploring genetics and instituting a genetic revolution. In 1920, Rosalind Franklin was born into a Jewish family in Notting Hill, London, England. From an early age, her family knew she was a very bright young child. She was born into a well-off family and a family who was built to change things. Even her uncle was the first practicing Jew to serve in the British cabinet. She had an older brother and later had 3 younger siblings. At the age of 6, she went to school for a day with her older brother. When she came home, she had a new love for school and learning. Her aunt, Helen Bentwich, said to her husband, "Rosalind is alarmingly clever. She spends all of her time doing arithmetic for pleasure and invariably gets her sums right." Rosalind always seemed to have the most interest in math and science, and her curiosity always bringing her new questions to ask.
However, Rosalind was told by her father that she would be a social worker when she grew up. Despite her father's thoughts, at the age of 15, Rosalind knew that she wanted to become a scientist. She attended St. Paul's High School, one of the few girls' high schools in London that taught physics and chemistry. She excelled in Latin, science, and sports in school. Even though Rosalind's father opposed the idea of higher education for women, Rosalind enrolled at Newnham College in Cambridge, England. She received scholarships to multiple schools, but she chose Newnham College. She decided to study physical chemistry during college. In a letter to her father in 1940, Rosalind said, "In your letter, you imply that I have developed a completely one-sided outlook and look at everything and think of everything in terms of science. You look at science as some sort of demoralizing invention of man, something apart from real life and which must be cautiously guarded and kept separate from everyday existence. But science and everyday life cannot and should not be separated. Science, for me, gives a partial explanation of life." Rosalind was passionate about science, and she did not let her father's disapproval constrict her enthusiasm. Rosalind graduated in 1941, earning her bachelor's degree and a research grant to do doctoral research under Ronald Norrish, a physical chemist. She held a graduate fellowship for a year but quit in 1942 to work at the British Coal Utilization Research Association, where she made fundamental studies of carbon and graphite microstructures. This work was the basis of her doctorate in physical chemistry, which she earned from Cambridge University in 1945. Her PhD thesis was "The Physical Chemistry of Solid Organic Colloids with Special Reference to Coal." After Cambridge, starting in 1947, she spent 3 productive years in Paris at the Laboratoire Central des Services Chimiques de l'État, where she learned X-ray diffraction techniques. In 1951, she returned to England as a research associate in John Randall's laboratory at King's College in London. In Randall's lab, she crossed paths with Maurice Wilkins. She and Wilkins led separate research groups and had separate projects, although both were concerned with DNA. Wilkins misunderstood Rosalind's role in the lab. He treated her as though she were his technical assistant, but in reality, both scientists were actually peers in the lab. His mistake, acknowledged but never overcome, was not surprising given the climate for women at the university then. Only males were allowed in the university dining rooms. After hours, Franklin's colleagues went to men-only pubs, leaving her out of all of the activities. All of the men called her Terrible Rosie because they claimed that she hoarded her data and would yell at them, but that was far from the truth. These are some examples of Rosalind's many encounters with sexism in her lifetime, but she never let the adversity bring her down. Rosalind put all her time into her DNA project and explored parts of the double helix that no one had ever seen before. She produced, as J.D. Bernal said, the most beautiful X-ray photographs of any substance ever taken. From 1951 to 1953, Rosalind became dedicated to completely solving the DNA structure. Meanwhile, scientists all across the world were also racing to discover the structure of DNA, including Rosalind's peer at King's College, Wilkins, and his partners Watson and Crick. One night, without her knowledge, they gained access to her X-ray image of DNA, number 51, along with her notebook, which described her findings. Without her notebook, the men would have no clue what Photo 51 meant. Her stolen property single-handedly led to one of the greatest discoveries in science of all time.
Watson and Crick stole her information and never gave her the credit she deserves. In interviews, they failed to mention that they stole her information and otherwise would not be close to their discovery.
The two of us, by collaborating, when one of us got on the wrong track, the other one could get us out of it. If I thought there were three chains at one stage, you were sure there were two. If you thought that the phosphates had to be in the middle, then I would be the devil's advocate and say put them on the outside. And I think this is very important in solving structures of this kind, because the difficulty is that you've got to give several logical steps, one after the other.
In reality, both Watson and Crick were further from completing the DNA structure than Rosalind was. However, Watson later wrote a book called The Double Helix, where he fails to mention Rosalind's contribution. The only mention of her was of the terrible Rosie that portrayed her as the data-hogging villain. Even today, he won't admit the truth.
He would have said, there are two chains, and she said the phosphates were on the outside, then they would have to be held together by the bases. And once you say that, you're very close to the structure. So I don't think her name deserved to be on the paper. I mean, she really fought bitterly saying it wasn't a helix.
Rosalind Franklin was the life behind all the recognition Watson and Crick got. After her research was stolen and all of the drama went down, she began researching the polio virus and the tobacco mosaic virus. Even after she got her work stolen, she continued to pursue the field of science. She was driven and independent in her journey through the double helix exploration. Oftentimes, women are pushed aside, ignored, and treated as if their opinions and ideas are wrongful, only to find justice many years after they have died. Many women are robbed of recognition because of the stereotype that men are superior. Rosalind Franklin defied the expectation of women in her time because she didn't listen to men. Watson even admitted in his book, The Double Helix, that he didn't pay attention to her when she shared her information to the public willingly, because he thought that she was wrong. Franklin set a precedent for the expectations of women and gave many women the courage to become independent. Throughout Rosalind's entire life, she explored the world of science, encountered problems with scientists and her gender, and exchanged data that produced the discovery of DNA's structure.
Nobody's making models like Watson and Crick. Crick, 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 Crick. Cephalitis, but we beat them to that double heat. That double heat, that double heat. DNA. Oh God, don't tell nobody, but we're gonna solve DNA. Hereditary molecules under our name. We're making models, man, doing things our way. But these phosphates, we had them in the wrong place. Then Maurice gave us that new data. Newer model had two chains. Shargoff and his roots say CGTA, double helix, true man, two chains. Skirt. Saw Rosie losing. Scientists are thrilling, man, that feel it when you go and start revealing live secrets if you willing. But don't say that we were still Rosie dead it, cause she never has seen. Now we're rich, famous, we'll know our prices. Man, it's good to be Watson and Crick. Crick. Uh-oh, Crick. Here she comes. Run!
Too many x-rays that I diffract, so it's not just gonna happen like that. Let's recognize Rosalind Franklin. All eyes on Rosalind Franklin. You show my data behind my back, so it's not just gonna happen like that. Let's recognize Rosalind Franklin. All eyes on Rosalind Franklin. Ooh, that's my pick. That's my pick. Ooh, that's my pick. That's my pick. I heard that you were showing my pick and you didn't think that I would find out. Then you wrote this nice little book and everyone fired up. Well, I'm back from the dead and I read what you said and I'm here to set the record straight now. Now when you learn about the double, you better also learn about me.